well, all is well. We here.
Yes, 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 yes. We gonna be all right.
This coronavirus season, I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Let me give you time to sit back and create some more good stuff.
Exactly. If you're not using this time wisely, I don't know, man. This is the
Talk about
time
it.
we need to definitely build on whatever we've been doing, work harder, make it happen.
Yeah, I just finished talking to people about that. Don't be sitting home. It's cool to watch a little program every now and then, but just figure this out and
Yeah,
try to do more with yourself.
it's definitely a planning period.
Yes, it is.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is Fredell Myers, right? Some of y'all, I know a lot of y'all do know her, but the ones that don't know her, I'm gonna have to introduce her to y'all. You know, and this girl, she grew up as living a life that me, you, and probably nobody else would ever imagine living because you know of her father. And the father goes by the name of Freddie Myers, well-known
You
person
guys ready?
in society, in the community back in the days. Big Willie, they used to say.
Big Kingpin.
Big
Honorable
King Pin.
Kingpin. Well, he's known as the Honorable Kingpin because he's one of the ones that didn't snitch, did all his time. The crew went down with him. Everybody did it, telling him everybody came with him, including my mother. They couldn't break nobody. Good and plenty crew.
And that.
Good and plenty. Crew was strong, they was loyal.
Uh-huh.
Had a serious brotherhood there, man. Seriously. A lot of them just passed away. Omar, uh, which was the second in charge. My father, he just passed away of coronavirus. I
Mm.
spoke to the kids today as well. They're going to be joining the Invisible Child nonprofit organization.
Right.
Spoke with Fatima. I'm trying to reach out to um, Omar Jr. actually as well, just to get all of the kids that are interested, that have parents who were in prison and stuff like that, especially the people that were on this case. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we got Rhonda Fisher. She on board 110%. Unfortunately, she had death in her family, so she wasn't able to join us today. This
Yes.
virus situation is real. It hit real close to home for her. Her mother's sister. So, for us, we just trying to get through it. I spoke to, like I said, Omar's children and his ex-wife died today, and they all got so much input in terms of like what we're going to be working on and movies and stuff like that. And we have some people that's going to be on the creative staff, doing some creative edits on the movie, and so. But before we do Honorable Kingpin, we're going to be doing the documentary on children of incarcerated parents.
Okay.
We've been consulting a lot with some people from Europe, actually, from Italy. They came to meet with us through Scan New York to do this documentary. We're going to be talking about the inner city youth. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Scan, but it's a nonprofit organization here in New York. The founder and CEO, Lou Zuckerman, was a good friend of my dad. My dad ran his basketball clinic before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He just called me to Georgia Sweets. And so what he's going to now continue is fund Invisible Child's basketball clinic. We're going to bring the games back to foster projects and,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
all throughout the various public housing in the five boroughs, more so Harlem, really, with Scan. And then we're going to be doing, like I said, the documentary is going to be more so focused on the children, not so much the story of the legends, the kingpins and all of that. But that
Mm-hmm.
will come up, of course.
Right. So let me ask you a question. So what made you start the organization? I mean, the nonprofit.
What made me start Invisible Child was growing up as a child of incarcerated parents. People never really talked about children with parents in prison, and there was a big stigma, towards it. Growing up in a suburban area like I did, I'm from Mount Vernon, New York. Money earned in Mount Vernon. I'm not born in Harlem, but when my
Money
dad
earning.
he moved me like Harlem real
Yeah.
early, get me away from a lot of things that was going on at that time when you were
Yeah.
king and your family is a target. So, he bought a little mansion in Mount Vernon and grew up over there in Mount Vernon right off of Bradley Avenue, on Bradley Avenue, East Lincoln. So, um, in that time, the judge, of course, says you have to have therapy. So they assigned you to school therapist, which was Miss Owens at the time. And I didn't talk to her. She had no, experience in dealing with this type of situation, her coming from a suburban environment. I mean, her brother was her like distant cousin or family member was like Jesse Owens. So, she had no idea about like drug life and stuff like that. So I didn't get the proper therapy or services for children that don't have parents in prison, don't have parents at home. So I was lying, basically, telling everybody my father's away on business, my mother's here,
Mm-hmm.
some parent teacher conference forms, and they can't make it, and permission slips and things like that. And what it did, it eroded a lot of me, and it caused me to have a lot of issues in terms of like not feeling like I was like the rest of the kids because my parents were in prison. So, but then I was always treated differently because I was known as the rich kid because the house and the money and my father's cars, and people knew who my father was and what he was into and stuff like that.
Right.
So when I would say he's away on business and my mother is running her, business here in California, things like that, it was believable.
Mm.
But it was eroding something within me, not being able to tell the truth and having to live with that every day. And members of the track team and everybody, mother, father coming to track meets, and mom wasn't there, and just not having that support. And then, like I said, my parents were in federal prison, so that means that they can be anywhere. Like my mom did all 4 of her years in West Virginia, Walderson. That's where what's her name? Martha Stewart was there as well, but years later after my mom.
Right.
But so we had to fly and hotel, and that's finances. So if you didn't have the money, if you didn't have the finances to get a round trip ticket to go visit your mother, your father. My father was in Lexington, Kentucky. He was in all. He was in a lot of jails in his 5 years. My mother did all 4.5 years in one spot, but
Okay.
it was very costly. And so what I've noticed is that the bond with the parents and the children break. They don't know who they are because they don't grow up around them, they don't get to visit them and things like that. So these are some of the reasons why I wanted to start. I wanted to be able to provide transportation for children to be able to visit their parents. And I also want to deal with the mental health issues with reconnecting the
Let
aftercare
me
and
ask you a question,
the
Fidel. How old were you when you was going through that? When your parents
I
was
was
in
12
prison?
years old. I was
12.
12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 12 years old. In the morning, it was a March. It was in the month of March in 1983, and they came in 5 o'clock in the morning and took my whole family. It was 8 count, so they had to take, a lot of people to get that continuing enterprise. So they took every sibling I had, my
Mm.
father's majority of his whole crew, not the whole crew. Um, you know, sisters, boyfriends, and everybody. Everybody got arrested. So
Wow.
I had to go live with an aunt for a little while until people started coming home on bail, on recognize. My dad never came home. He had $2 million bail, I think, or $1 million bail or something like that, which could have been paid, but he was working on beating his case. My father always thought that he could beat that case. No drugs in the case. It was only money, jury, and a couple of M16s, and fur coats and cars and things like that.
Uh-huh.
So we did get him on the tax evasion. So he didn't think about that, but he knew
Right.
that there was drugs in the case.
Uh-huh.
So he thought he could beat it. So he had like the best representation. He had what's that guy name that did O.J. Simpson?
Cochran?
Cochran. He had that firm there with him. Then he had another firm that was really big. He spent millions of dollars in his representation. He was the only one in the case that had 5 lawyers.
Damn.
5 lawyers
Mm.
through the whole trial.
Easy, huh?
He spent millions of dollars on lawyers, though I can say that.
Right.
So, but he's a man who had been in jail several times. So doing time for him wasn't so bad. He did a hard time, but
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't concerned about coming home on bail or anything like that. That wasn't his issue.
Right.
Um, he was trying
And
to
he
beat the case. He
and
was
he
beat.
wasn't copping out.
Oh, he was a cop now. Oh no, nobody was. Not even my mother. They tried to tell her, tell us about Freddie's enterprise, and we'll let you go. You get to go back home to your daughter. She said, I ain't gonna tell you what she said because I don't want y'all to know she talk like that. But
Right, right, right. Yeah, you say that for the movie.
yeah, she just told him, the other words, like, fuck off, basically.
Yeah.
And so they knew they couldn't break anybody on our case, and that was the unique thing about that case. Nobody broke. Everybody did their time. All of the lieutenants, my siblings, my
See that?
mother.
You see that? That's
Yeah,
I'm glorifying crime or drug dealing or violence, whatever. But don't do the crime if you can't do the time. If
Exactly.
you
I
get
don't
in trouble,
know
don't take
either.
nobody else down because you got caught. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly. Part of the reason why I started Invisible Child to help children know that they don't have to follow the footsteps of their parents. If your parents sold drugs or whatever it was, credit card scam, whatever reason why they're in prison, you don't have to do that. Like I didn't have to do that, and I still made it through without the therapy and this, that, and that thing. I joined the military, college, and stuff like that. But there are things out here, and I want to be part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. And that's why I started Invisible Child, so that the kids that think, oh, my father was a bad mamma jamma. He ran 114th Street to 127th Street. Da 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 da. You don't have to be that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be that to be special, to be good, to be a person of honor. You don't have to do that.
Yes.
That's why one of the main goals of Invisible Child also to allow children to know that there's so many things that they want to present the options for
Mm-hmm.
them. Let them know like I had every opportunity to go that route
Mm-hmm.
because of how my family did it, because they didn't switch, because of who they were to the various connections, Colombian and I believe Italians as well, all offered me opportunities.
Yes.
They said, if your father's that good, you got to be that good too. And I did it.
Right.
I was foolish.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I want other kids to know that just you don't always have to live up to their name. You can make a name of your own, and that's why I named it Invisible Child. So you can put your name to your story,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be different. But you can always uphold the legacy of your parents. My father was a good man. He was
Right.
a drug dealer, but he was an honorable man. He was a
Mm-hmm.
good man. He was good to his family. He was good to his friends. He was a respectable dude. They loved him. He was a stand-up dude. He took care of a lot of people, fed a lot of families, paid for a lot of funerals. He did a lot for a lot of people. My father was a good man
Right.
that did bad things. I always say good people could do bad things, but it doesn't make them a bad person. So, I want to hold up his legacy with that in mind and letting them know. And the people that know him know. People that
As
were
you
following
as you
already
should.
know.
As you should.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I'm
I
saying?
want to
Because he
be
gave
proud of him.
he gave you the best that he wanted to give you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he
You his
definitely
daughter.
did.
So
Yeah.
now you have the Invisible Child nonprofit organization, and you give it back to the community.
Yes. That's what we're doing.
So it's transportation that's going to prisons for the kids who can't get to see their parents.
Exactly. So we're not just providing we're also providing airfare. And,
Wow.
because we realize that not everyone is in state prisons where you can just get on a Greyhound or whatever type of bus they take or vans. I don't know. My parents were in federal prisons. I don't know, like, pretty much the state system. I mean, I'm learning it now because I'm working with that. But I know it's easier to get them there. But when your parents is in prison in Kentucky and Virginia and you're here in New York, so we want to be able to get round trip airfare, and try to find hostels for them to stay in. And if there's no local hostels and stuff like that, we're going to do hotel fees and everything like that as well. So, and I believe that that is so important to the growth of our youth. It's important to be connected to your parents and to know who they are. My father went away at 12 years old. I wouldn't have known he was a good man, um, unless I kept on visiting him and learning about him and being in his presence. And same with my mother. They were so young. I can't say that I didn't know that they weren't into legal things because I did. I was a smart kid. So
Right.
yeah, I knew. Um, yeah, I knew. I didn't know I just knew I had more than the kids around me. I knew that I lived differently than my friends and things like that, and I just knew like my friends don't have these men driving them back and forth to school. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
things like that, and my friends didn't have kidnap attempts on their lives, but I did. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew. Why my father moved me to Westchester and things like that. So I did have an idea, but I always knew that I did not want to go that route. Even then, I knew that.
Right.
I want to provide, I want other kids to know that, like I was saying, I'm sorry, back to connecting. And so when you come home, you got to get to know them again. Like when my
Mm-hmm.
father did 25 years getting home for me, it was I was blessed in a situation where I was able to communicate and visit and things like that. But there was still one of the things he said to me that stands out. My father passed away now, but one of the things he said to me, he said, "I see you." And he came home. I was in full military uniform. First time he saw me, and he said, "I see you at your age, and I know that you're an adult." He said, "But when I dream about you, I dream about the 12-year-old little girl that I left, and that's the image
Uh,
of you in my head." He said, "So when I talk to you a certain type of way, don't take offense, but I still see you as that little kid." And I've never been to jail, but I can imagine that that's part of the effect of being in jail.
yeah,
When you leave, um, and then 25 years later, you kind of left with that whole mentality of thinking things are somewhat the same. When he
yeah,
left, he didn't have DVDs, he didn't have cell phones. So he came
uh-huh,
home from the human world. He
right,
came with DVDs, CDs, uh, Netflix, cell phones, and things like that. So it took that period of connecting and things like that. So that's something I want to try to help other people with, and I thank God that I was in a place where I worked with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, so I knew how to, when he came home, that was my civilian job outside of my military job. So I knew how to make the connection to get the therapy and the services that I needed to be able to reconnect with my father. But a lot of kids don't know, and I want to use my platform to help bring that service to them. And when I
mm-hmm,
say meaning that, there's a lot of people who have parents in jail, but not all of their parents want to cover the Feds magazine or have a DVD that's out and things like that and have the notoriety that New York Freddie Myers had. So I want to, do that. So I want to say hi to some people that are saying hi to me.
yeah,
I see them. I see y'all. I see you, Vic. I see you, Marquita. I see you, Dana. I love all of y'all. That's my Mount Vernon crew. They always love and support me. But
money earning Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon all day long, man. For real, for real. Mount Vernon is in my blood. A lot of
I
stars.
got a lot of cool friends up there. Trust me.
Yeah, good people come from Mount Vernon. Something in the water. Very
Yeah,
cool people come from Mount Vernon.
yeah.
But I always say that something in the water in Mount Vernon. What was I saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just talking about. I mean, what I want to get back to
Yeah.
what you were saying, like, cause that's a big thing. You said, so you gonna fly them around. Y'all gonna
Yeah.
make it possible for them to fly to whatever prison that their parents are in.
Yes.
That's big.
That's big. It's very big. It was big for me. And then the dealing with the aftercare as well. I remember there was a time when I felt like walking on that visiting floor, I didn't want to leave. I always felt like I left a part of me when I left my mother there. It was like the worst feeling in the world, to leave my mother, who was my best friend. She was my everything. Like,
How much time your mother did?
don't get me wrong, but I'm saying, like, back then, we were together every day. The night before, we were together until 1 o'clock in the morning, coming from a church service in
Right.
Brooklyn. We go to Greater Bible Way Temple in Brooklyn, and so yeah, that was hard, man. It was hard, and I didn't know how I did it until after it was done. You
Mm.
know,
How much
and
time did your mother have to do?
4.5 years. She was sentenced 7 years for conspiracy and knowledge of the wealth. She didn't. She wasn't sentenced for like doing any particular crime or selling, but they said she knew and she enjoyed the wealth.
Oh wow. And your dad did how much?
He was sentenced 40 years altogether. He did 25. And in the 80s, you did 1/3 of your time. Now you do 85% of your time. They changed it with the Feds.
Right.
So he was initially sentenced to was 30 years for the continuing enterprise because he was a felon and like he was found with the M16s and all that stuff. And then 40 years for the tax evasion. And what they do is they ran it concurrent. So
Mm.
you get the up and the higher number, which was 40 years, and so 40 out of 40 did 24 and a, it did 4 months and a half in the house, which made it
Yeah.
25 years altogether. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So
Mhm.
what year, or how old were you when you joined the military?
Oh God, I had did a year or two a year of college. Um, I was 20, I want to say, because I had been to college already for a little bit, for like a year. I did about maybe 3 semesters. Then I went to the military, and I was like, okay, GI Bill's going to pay for me to continue to go to college. Let me go on in here. And I
Right.
did that for 14 years. I'm 92 whiskey, which is a logistics specialist.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, were you in touch with your father while he was in there any type of way or no?
In the military?
Right.
Yeah, all the time. We
Right.
wrote, whenever I was close, visit, all the time, calls and stuff like that. When cell phones hit, you know, I was like, no matter where I'm at, you can call me now. First it was just the beepers and things like that, and see, I'm a
Yeah.
little right, and go back and forth. Well, my parents were in prison with no cell phone, but when they hit, my mom came home in '87, July of '87, so she was home before cell phones and all that. But yeah, my dad, he had myself in the movie. We always kept in touch.
Right.
That. He
I
didn't
can
like
remember.
it.
I can remember your dad had when I was a little kid. He had like an orange Cadillac. They were riding caddies back then.
Yeah,
Orange
yeah.
caddy with like a maroon top.
Yes, 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 yes.
And whenever you rode up and down Amsterdam, we get that's Freddie Myers right there.
Yeah, then he got into the Mercedes, and then he started getting all the color Mercedes and
Uh huh.
dropped the blue one and all of that. That ended up being his thing after a while.
Yeah. Hey, my man Mike Dean, what's up, Mike? What's up, talent? I see y'all. This is
Talent
man
in the
talent from Mount
building.
Vernon, right?
Yes, Talent is in the building. That's my friend.
Hey, Mike
I
Dean said,
love with
what are
Talent.
the skills of a logistics specialist?
The skills I do have health issues,
9/11 issues. Yeah, Mike Dean. Yeah.
sarcoidosis from breathing that in. So whoever asked that, thanks for
Yeah,
asking
that
that.
was Mike. That's Mike Dean. My
Okay,
man
so
Mike. Yeah.
I just answered him. Yeah, so being down there, looking in the DNA section, so I'm sitting there, and I'm guarding the mayor. I'm on the left side, and then one of my fellow soldiers, Garcia, was on the right side. I'm holding F-16, and I'm looking down at him, and I'm saying to him, "You have no idea who was assigned to protect you." My father was still in prison at
Wow.
9/11. My father didn't come home until 2004. Yeah, 2006. So I'm sitting myself, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to turn this M16 on you and just, you can go home family of prison chase. Like,
Oh
you
man.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I got to protect you day after day. I go to sleep
Uh,
and I wake up and I know my job was to protect
yeah.
Giuliani, who put my whole
That's a
family.
weird feeling, ain't it?
Man, it was weird, but I got over it.
Right.
I did my job every day. I showed
Yes.
up on time and I did my job, and he thanked me, and we shook hands. We actually hugged and everything like that. He appreciated me keeping guard duty on his area, DNA area, keeping him protected and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I told him who I was. He don't remember the 12-year-old girl coming back and forth to trial, seeing him in court. He don't remember that I was
Nah,
just.
he don't remember that. He don't
He,
want to remember that.
he never asked my name.
Mm. Wow. All he had to do was hit Myers and then it'll ring a bell.
It's on my
Right?
uniform. It's on my uniform.
Oh wow, it is on your uniform right here.
He
Hey, no,
never.
it wasn't Oscar Myers, it was Freddie
Right,
Myers.
right, right. You know what I mean? So I felt like I
Yeah.
was just in a movie back then, but I showed up every day and I did my job as a
Yeah.
soldier in the United States Army.
Yes,
It's
yes,
crazy
yes.
too, but so those are the type of things that goes undealt with, and you need to get into therapy and talk about these things, and
Mm-hmm.
you have abandonment issues because now every time somebody tells you that they're leaving, you think they're never coming back because
Mm-hmm.
when your parents go to prison and stuff like that, it causes those type of issues within you. And that's what I want to do to help the kids. You know, recent in some of the events that we have, it was just to show the kids that we're here and to raise money so that we can do the transportation thing. So we started out last April. We did a comedy for a cause, and we had a comedy show. And I wanted Talent to be in it, but Talent was performing in Delaware that weekend. You know, him being from Mount Vernon, I figured he would be the best host. But
Yes.
we couldn't get him. But I'm hoping to get him this year when we do our comedy for a cause. Um, so we had great comedians. Though. It was really nice. It turned out really good. We had Marquita. She hosted the event and she went around collecting donations, selling you know those beads you get when you go to Mardi Gras beads, and she was
Yes.
giving her $20. She's a beautiful lady, but you want to give her $20 for beads too. You know what I mean? And so we raised a lot of money in our first event.
Uh-huh.
It put us in a position to be able to pay for our next event, and you know we were able to do our event in the park for the children. It was called "What About the Children," and we had bouncy parks, DJ, food, music, vendors. You know, your family was there too. Your family was
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. I came to that event.
That was enough. Yeah, we was doing that to try to make money to provide for the kids, and we were able to do that. We were able to give all of the kids that were registered T-shirts and little
Yep.
arms. I have my banner with me today, and
Uh-huh.
did that, and you know, just to let them know we fed them good. We had people in Harlem donate food. Manners donated a couple of trays of food,
Yeah.
a
It
couple of
was a
bars.
lot of food. It was a lot
Yeah,
of food
wasn't
that
that
day.
nice?
Yeah,
They
it
also
was.
made quotas and you know cases of water. We thank God this year is going to be a lot bigger. We're going to do it in July, so we are
Right.
going to do it. And you know, so what I do is I go out and I speak to the kids on Career Day, which is usually May of every year. We're missing it because schools are closed. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, the principals call me and I go and I speak to them. There's stuff on the website as well as the Instagram. You can see me speaking to some youth in Queens and as well as my hometown, of course, Mount
Mhm.
Vernon. Harlem is my home too, but Mount Vernon is where I was raised. You know,
So
that's
you
where.
did you did the P Diddy move.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Except for the fact I still acknowledge
Exactly.
Vernon. I still acknowledge my hometown. I still acknowledge my people from there, and
Yeah.
I know where I was fed. You
Hmm.
know, my church is
Yes.
in Mount Vernon. My extended family, they poured into me. My parents were in jail. You know, I had people like neighbors that took good care of me. Shawnette and her mother, Carol Jones, stayed with them for a little bit too. Just not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I wanted to. My house with the mansion was beautiful, pool, basketball courts, you know, video game room downstairs, pool tables, and all of that, things like that. And I never was there. I hung out with the project. You know,
Mm.
we did it.
Wow.
We called ourselves the group home kids, and I lived in the mansion. But that's what we did because I wanted to be around something that didn't remind me of the thing that took away my parents. You know what I
I
mean?
got you. I
And
got
these people loved me, and they didn't care that you know what I had or didn't have, that my parents were rich or what house I lived in. They were my friends. Even Sean before he became Puppy, you know, and a few others, you know. We did in church, you know, my pastor Carlton C. Sproul, and then I had like a second mother right before my mother came home, Sister Murray, who kind of like, when I tell you she held me down, she prayed for me,
you. Mm.
she cared for me. Um, every child needs that mother figure, and she was there. She was that. And I
Right.
thank God for her, for Carolyn Jones, a few people. So, you know, when I say that, you know, I was born in St. Luke's, and up until 12 years old, I did live in Harlem. And then when the case happened, everything like that, I moved right back to Harlem, moved down to 121st Street and things like that. So Harlem is my home, but Mount Vernon fed me.
Right.
It nurtured me.
Exactly.
That's my home.
So where you at with the do you go around and speak to like different organizations and with the kids and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's the thing right now. The COVID, you know, got us all on the freeze. But I'm also a registered vendor for the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
So any principal, anybody that has like a program in DOE, New York City, not Mount Vernon. I'm not a vendor in Mount Vernon, only within the 5 boroughs. And you want me to come speak to your kids, the kids on your career day, Oh, you want me to talk about, I do workshops as well. I do 10-day workshops where
Okay.
we meet the kids of children of incarcerated parents, and that's held at 2 West 115th Street at the SCAN program, which is at the MLK Community Center there in the project. So
Mm-hmm.
all of the SCAN programs are located in the project. And so the
Okay.
community center there, I have an office there, and on Wednesdays, kids that want to come and talk about it, and there's a lot of children that are ashamed, and they're going to school every day, and they're lying about where their father is, and some of them are out there trying to be who their father was when he was in the street, and then they end up in the cell next door to their father. So that's what the workshops are, to try to help prevent that. And although I'm a female, they actually listen to me, the gentlemen and stuff like that. And that's why I said when I use my platform. And it's not so much because of who I am and what I've done in life, but a lot of them respect who my father was. So they will, they take that's what get the initial interest to actually listen to me. And then when
Mm-hmm.
they get in there, they're like, okay, there's nothing to do with that. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do with our father. She's just really here to help us go through something she went through already.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, the actual story of your father, as
Yeah.
far as a book or movie, is there like a certain time frame that people might be able to look for it, or
Well,
what's going on?
the movie thing, the time frame, I don't know. I'm actually working with someone, and I don't want to say their name until it's done. But
You're
I
not
am working
supposed
with a very famous director, producer, boss man of everything. He
to.
owns everything that he does, and
Right.
it's from Harlem.
Right. I
Um,
got you.
I feel like he can really depict the the story. He can really get the vibe of Harlem. He will really um, bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I chose him. No other people, but I'm adamant on who I want to work with,
Right.
and he's adamant on want to work with me. But it's just a time thing. But the first thing that's going to be done is the documentary about children of incarcerated parents. We want to address that issue first before we
Yes.
do the actual movie. So that documentary is being worked on. Like I said, it's being filmed with a film company that's based out of Italy, but they're here working with us with the nonprofit Scan and I. And so my Invisible Child and Scan works hand in hand in most projects that I do going forward, especially. So we're going to be getting the children, the actual people from SCAN program to be a part of this documentary, because a lot of them that are in our so-called inner city youth and the projects, the programs, have parents who are in prison. So the documentary is going to talk about living as a child of incarcerated parents and having to go through that experience and what it's like. And, we're going to tell stories of people who have followed their parents' footsteps, and those who, like myself, did not, and those who, joined SCAN to avoid joining. It's deep, it's big. So
Mm-hmm.
with the COVID-19, that's put a hold on that. They traveled back to Italy, and now they stuck and can't come back to finish doing any filming. And I was so upset because the filming started like March 6th, and then the city shut down
Yeah. Yeah.
the 17th. So that would be the first thing. And then the second thing will be the movie. And I don't have a date for the movie, but we definitely have worked out the deck. We have what we call LOIs with people. LOIs, I'm learning all this film stuff. And I know the deck is all the art of the LOI is letters of interest. Okay, I got it. So we
Right.
got a few celebrities who um, actually know of my father from you, our first interview with Beat 139. I sent that to quite a few people, and they were very interested. And
Okay.
so one of the people, he's actually on a what's that show about the church people and stuff like that. He's an actor. He played on a lot of stuff.
Uh huh.
Grace, he's the pastor's son. He plays baseball. Forget his name. Anyway, he's one of the people who expressed interest, and he looks a lot like my father. And so we
Yes.
have MOIs that are people who are interested in being in the movie. Um, the person who's playing Omar name is Omar, but I'm not going to tell you who he is. The actor name is Omar as well.
So
So,
you having a casting call or something like that? Or no?
yeah, but for the other parts, yeah, there are some people who, like I said, do LOI too, but there are definitely a lot of parts. But we're not there yet. But when we get there, you're gonna know about it. Everything's gonna change. It's gonna be a separate website, separate Instagram, separate everything for that, and
Yes, yes.
and then like I said, the person who I intend to work with is going to be pulling in a lot of people as well. So it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah,
It's going to be
I'm
good.
happy. I'm happy that you got all these wonderful things going on in your life, and you also you're giving a lot back to the community. You know,
That's the
and you
best
touch
part.
in an area, where people would overlook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot
Hmm.
of people don't care about what you're doing, not what you're doing, but they don't care about the children of incarcerated parents.
They don't.
They don't. So a person like you who does care about that, it's going to shine a lot of light on the situation. Believe me, that's going to be a big
That's
thing.
the goal. That's the goal. And that's why I named it Invisible Child, because it has been an invisible issue for a long time. Everybody always working on reform and, getting people home on clemency, and when they get home, helping them get back adjusted to the world, and reform, and making sure they don't go back to prison, things like that. But what about the children? What about the children that are left behind with no parents?
Mm-hmm.
What about the children that got to go to school, and it's daughter dad, it's daughter father dance, and your father's in prison for all
Mm-hmm.
4 years of your high school, so your father can never take you to the daughter father dance in high school. I grew up in the suburbs where we have stuff like that. I ran track. My parents have never been to a track meet.
Mm.
My mother came home right before I graduated high school. So she was there to go to my graduation, thank God. But I thought I wasn't going to have parents at graduation.
Wow.
And I got up every morning with no parents, and I went to school every day.
Wow.
Went to school every day. You know, cut a class here and there like any other kid. And I got up every day. I went to school. I graduated, and I went to college, and went to the military. Like I said, and I'm talking about from 8th grade on, my parents were working. So before high school, I still wanted to go to school every day. I knew,
Wow.
I knew that was something that my parents always instilled in me. Told me, you know, before that I was in Catholic schools and private schools. So I mean, I'm not to say it's a blessing to go to jail, but I got to experience public school.
Right.
I
They
went
would
to
not
Catholic
never
high
let you do no
school,
public school.
and I loved it. Ain't nothing like public school, man, for real.
Right. 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 Right.
That's where I met some great people that are still a part of my life right now, and so yeah, that's the goal, to help. We did over at the Scan MLK Community Center, we did haircuts for all the
Mm-hmm.
kids. We just was giving out. We figured it was like Easter was about to come. We were like, we're giving everybody haircuts. Um, girls came, guys came. Wanda was braiding hair. I don't know if you
Yeah,
see the
yeah. I was gonna ask you about that too, because
yeah,
she had the smock with the invisible.
the invisible child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. She was doing it. I
yeah.
was like, yeah,
That
that's
was last
cool.
year. She wasn't even planning that, but she was like, "I want to braid." So then the guys came when they wanted their hair braided. She braided their hair, and we also have cosmetologists, and we have another hairdresser for the women. But we weren't able to have the function because of the COVID-19. So we're going to try to put that off. And if they go back to school, and maybe do it as a back to school thing, and we'll do both. We'll do free haircuts, estheticians do, teach girls how to do hair, makeup, nails, and things like that, as well as do it for them, but also teach them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the goal, and that's going to be also from someone who in Mount Vernon who's running a cosmetology department in Mount Vernon High School and has agreed to come along and offer the service for free to help the children. So I thank God for that. My mother was a big influence in my life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when I say that Mount Vernon nurtured me, I mean that. They have been really supportive of all this.
Yeah.
Really.
They call it money earning Mount Vernon for a reason,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A lot of good songs come out
Hey,
of
let me
all
tell you
these.
something. F.E.D. was a real close friend of mine. And
That was
Groovy
my
Lou,
guy.
right?
Fellow Gemini. Yeah, Groovy Lou was still my guy.
Right. So they from Mount Vernon. So I used to be downtown with them back in the days. And
Yeah.
they used to talk about, we should talk that Harlem stuff, a money making Manhattan. He's like, nah, money earned in Mount Vernon. We used to be
Yeah, yeah,
going
we
at
were workers.
it.
We make that money though.
Yeah, yeah. I miss that. I miss Ed. That was my man.
I got pictures with Groovy and Heavy and all of them. Heavy D lived right up the block from me, so we lived on the same side of town. He
Yeah.
lived in Camden, and I lived over off East Lincoln. So you know,
And
yeah.
Ruby Lou think he the mayor of Mount Vernon.
How?
Ruby Lou think he the mayor of Mount
Yeah,
Vernon.
yeah. He is though. Everybody love him. He's a good man. You know, he's one of those guys that never did nobody dirty. You know, so he's loved. You know, and he's respected.
Well
Um,
respected.
yeah, yeah. He's a good guy. He's a humble spirit,
Humble to the
real
T.
humble.
And he don't change. He the
Nah,
same
nah,
dude
nah,
every day.
all the time. And he was this way back then too. Believe it or not. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I can speak to that. You know,
Yeah.
he's definitely one of the gems of Mount Vernon, and that's the quality of Mount Vernon. One thing about Mount Vernon, we might fight each other, but you can't fight us. We will fight together. Just like, you know, man, we are like that. We will fight amongst each other, but we fight together at the end of the day as well.
Yeah. So you know what? For the people, because a lot of people just tuned in, can you tell them like where they can your website, your
Yeah,
social media, so they can check out what you're doing?
it's in www.invisiblechild.com. I mean .org rather. www.invisiblechild.ny.org, and then my Instagram is Invisible Child NY. I'm posting it all up so you guys can see. And the Facebook is the same thing, Invisible, just Invisible Child. This is Facebook. Yeah. So that's how you can, be a little bit more about us. The website has our mission statement, as well as it shows pictures and stuff, the stories that I have done, and the services that we provided. In the summertime, we were feeding the homeless down over 125th Street and Park Avenue. How they have a lot of the people who are or substance abuse and things like that. They live over there in the streets, and so we'll be doing that again through Scan. Scan gives these lunches. It's like sandwiches, everything like a lunch bag, a box of everything you need in it, and we were giving them out to everybody out there along with a piece of fruit. And we're going to be doing that again. That's my thing. For the last 16 years now, I worked in the field of social services. I worked with the homeless population. I was a case manager. And I
Mm-hmm.
just recently switched positions. I work with BRC now, and I'm outreach specialist with homeless. So instead of sitting behind a desk and helping them, I'm actually going out in the street and bringing them in the home, bringing them into shelter and into mental health services and into detox centers and getting them the services they want. Some of them don't want shelter. Some of them want a break. So we drop them off at what we call drop-off centers where they can take a shower and get, prepared themselves for the day. You'll be surprised. The homeless population,
Mm-hmm.
so interesting, man. I have people who I know, who I go in the train stations and I see them every day. It's a particular Asian lady. I'm not going to tell you the station because you don't know who she is. But this woman has $130,000 in the bank.
Mm.
Who's the thief in the train station? So you see the news and they say, "Oh, we're not doing our job." We have to first address the mental illness because that's where they are most comfortable, and they don't want to leave. I have another client. When COVID things started, we had to approach him and ask him. We thought it was a stupid question. Have you traveled out of the United States in the last 6 months? We're like, why are we asking homeless people who live at the train station that? And I asked one of the guys. He said, "Yeah, I went to Africa last month.
Mm.
I saved up all my SSI checks, and I went
Wow.
to see where my people was from." He went to Africa, stayed 2 days. He came right back to his shopping cart and bags in the train station, which he paid someone to watch while he was in Africa. So
Wow.
I mean, I tell you, the homeless population it's a very interesting thing, man. I'm telling you. I had another lady lived in a house in Queens, and that house caught on fire, and she sold it for $100,000. And then her daughter lost her mind and went to the psych ward, and she had nobody else, so she decided to ride the A train one day. And she's been riding the A train for a year and a half now, with $107,000 in the bank. Food stamps, she don't know how to use that card because she's used to the paper food stamps. Food stamps have piled so much on, and we had to call social services and work it out for her.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give her services because she had all this money in the bank. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they didn't understand that when her house burned, her memories burned, her son was in jail, her daughter was in crazy house. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
she just decided, she said, I got on the A train and never got off. This is a year.
Wow.
So it's just crazy, and then some of them are getting
Mm.
hit.
So all of it is not always financial. A lot of it is mental.
Yeah, most of it is mental because shelters for everybody. We're the only state People fly from all over the world to come to New York for shelter because we the only state that has a law that says everybody has a right to shelter. So
Mm.
if you ever go to Penn Station, you'll see people who just took a bus from Florida, a bus from Arkansas, that they were living homeless there, but there are no shelter there. So they come here and they go to PATH, or they go to women's single women's shelter, Franklin, or they go to the single men's shelter at 30th Street, Bellevue. And
Mm-hmm.
they go straight off the bus. Straight off, I mean, they take a Greyhound, Amtrak, because they know that we cannot deny them shelter. So there's shelter for everybody here. We have tenement buildings that de Blasio had purchased, and we're allowing people to live in these tenement buildings as
Mm-hmm.
shelters, paying the rent. They living next door to somebody who's paying $1,500 in rent, and the
Yeah.
person is not paying anything because they're in the shelter situation. And you got
Yeah.
people like myself going out doing visits to their apartments and what we call unit inspection, apartment inspections, things like that. So there are things in place, but people don't want nobody in their business. They don't want
Mm.
the manager asking them, have you been seeking employment this week? Have you saved any money from the job that you have?
Right.
Here's a apartment search list. I want to see how many real estate brokers, how many builders you go in searching for apartments. They don't want to do that. They feel like they're grown. So they figure they'll live in the train station. They got to answer to nobody. They ain't got to meet with me once a week, and I do an independent living for them for an adult, asking them simple stuff like, how much savings do you have? Did you make it to your mental health appointment? Did you take your meds all week? Are you seeking employment? Things like that. They don't want to deal with that. They grown. So when I say that it's not that we not doing our job, when you see most people in the train station, they are there because they want to be there. They don't even need us.
Mm.
It's like they ride the train to sleep, and they can ride the train straight to 30th Street and go get themselves up a minute. Go right in there and just say, I'm homeless. You don't even need ID.
Mm.
Client that come every night for a shelter every year, he would come for the winter time and then leave in the spring and live on the streets. Now I like to sleep in the park in the summertime, and every year he came with a different name. You go there last year, you Miguel this year, he's like, yes, I'm Miguel this
A
Freddie. I said,
different name,
okay.
but no ID, huh?
Because we have one. We have that law, guaranteed shelter. Everybody has the right to shelter. You don't have to have ID, and we'll pay for you if you want to get it. We'll pay for the application if you get it from the DMV. If you want your birth certificate, we'll give you $25 money order to take it down to 25 Worth Street to get your birth certificate, things like that. So they know it. They know they can come here with nothing.
Wow.
And we put them on their feet. And now the CUNY schools are doing that. If you're a resident of New York, you get to go to college free at the CUNY schools. So
Yeah.
now, you know what they do? Yeah, that's been for a few years now. You want to go to
Yeah.
like Brunswick Community College, City College, Hunter, those are all CUNY schools. So but you have to be a resident of New York, and then you have to work for the city for a few years afterwards. So, people do it come from all over the world, and they come into shelter.
Mm.
Because that's where the shelter is, in New York.
Right.
After 3 days of being sheltered, you have to give them what we call a residency letter, proving that their residency is here at this place in New York City. They take that residency letter to their bursar's office, and they go to college for free. They stay in
Wow.
shelter for 4 years. They don't pay no rent, no nothing. The only bill they have is their cell phone. And they go to college for 4 years. They get the job. They move out into their own apartment because they went to college for free. So you got people coming from all over the world to just suck the juices of my Vernon. I mean, I'm sorry, I love my Vernon Smith. New York City, of
Yeah.
New York City, and then you have people who are from New York City who would rather sleep on the park bench,
Right.
who would rather sleep on the train station.
They know nothing about the laws.
They don't even care.
No.
They don't. No, we tell them. I have people that curse me out. I have a lady on 42nd Street. Every time she sees me, get away from me, nigga, bitch. But I'm always offering the shelter because it's my job. You know what I mean? I have to do that. So she knows she's been, we tell them, listen, come with us right now. We got a van outside. We take you to shelter. And then the other thing, they want to follow the rules. They have shopping carts. You only allow 2 bags in shelter.
Mm.
So if you got 15 bags worth of stuff, that means you have to get rid of regular personal items, basically, and keep your
Mm.
basic essentials to go into shelter. So those are another thing. That's another reason as well. They don't want to give up. I had a woman who her mother passed away in January. And in March, I was trying to get her to go into shelter, and she can't take a shopping cart. It was the only thing she had left.
Yeah.
It was the only thing she had left from her deceased mother was her shopping cart.
Wow.
So she chose to stay in Penn Station and sleep You
Mm-hmm.
keep that one item
Yeah.
the mother left with her before she died, as opposed. And I asked her, I said, "You want to change the shopping cart in for a hot bed, hot shower, and 3 meals?" She said, "No.
Mm.
This is all I have left from my mother."
Yeah.
So, there's a lot. There's a lot to go with it. It's not that we're not doing our jobs. It's just they're comfortable.
Yeah. They like you said, a lot of it is mental.
Yeah, that's the big part. The substance abuse.
Yeah.
They'll get our check, and the whole check is gone one day on whatever drug they use. So they won't be able to pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that, so they're not going to come play with shelter. Then you have people who do have substance abuse, but they're very clean and they like to live a certain way. So they come to shelter and they take all their money and they blow it on clothes and drugs and they got a place to sleep every night. But they got a curfew. So you talk
Right.
about a 20, 50-year-old man with a curfew,
Right.
you know? But he good with that.
Mm.
Because he lived with his mother all his life.
Yeah.
He never had to pay no rent. And he don't want to start now.
Mm.
He's going to be fly every day.
Mental. All mental. Yeah. Yeah. So listen, my girl. No, I
What's up?
love you. I got
I
to
love
talk to you
you.
after the show, right?
Mm,
About some of the things that you're doing. I might want to get involved a little bit, you know.
that's awesome.
A couple key things that you hit that I'm interested in as far as giving back too. You know?
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
good.
so
We love that. We
yeah, it's the
love that.
truth. It's the truth.
We
But
appreciate
I want to thank you for
you.
tuning into my new show, Vibing with Don Vito.
I'm
You
always
know?
going to vibe with Don Vito. Don Vito gave me my first interview. Always. You know that,
Yeah.
right? No matter what. When the movie comes, you get the first interview.
There it is there. That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
my word to you.
That's what we do.
And
I
I'm Freddie
appreciate you.
Myers' daughter, so I keep my word.
And let me tell you something too though. We supposed to have for you viewers that's on right now, we supposed to have Rhonda Fisher. You
Right.
know, Guy Fisher's daughter was supposed to have been on the show with us. But
Yeah.
she had
First
somebody
black
pass
woman
away
of
in her
Congress
family
is
today.
Don Fisher.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah,
gonna
she
get her
was,
on real soon once she, her and the family gets things situated, And
yeah.
that's Fredell. That's family right there, right?
That's family. Yeah, definitely. One of the things that her father and my father had in common, they never used drugs, they never drink, and they were honorable men. He was snitched on and went to jail, and he could have talked, and he never did. He's still in jail because he never opened his mouth. And he's also good friends with my mother as well. So that's family.
Right.
That's definitely family. Omar's children are family. These are people who grew up in the same era as me and they understand what it is to go through to have parents in jail.
Yeah.
Rhonda Fisher, a lot of people don't know, but her mother was in jail the same time Guy was in jail when she was younger. So she also had to stay with her aunt and everything. She spent a little time in Mount Vernon too. She grew up for a few years in Mount
Money
Vernon.
earned in Mount Vernon.
When you earned in
You
Mount
get that
Vernon,
money, you go
just
up there and
like
cop your mansion right quick.
exactly. That's what you do. I might go buy back the house. I might go back.
Yeah. Hey,
Uh,
hey, listen, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna call you. We're gonna
For
talk.
sure.
We're gonna check on Rhonda, make sure she all right.
Oh, yeah, I checked on her. She cooks so much food. That's another thing. I want to let y'all know we having a bake sale. Rhonda Fisher's gonna be cooking. I want to kind of throw the picture in here, but I don't know how to do that. I'm still trying to learn how to do this stuff. But yeah, she threw down some soul food and everything like that. She's preparing for her father to come home as well. So
Yes, yes.
we'll talk more about that. I'm gonna let her break that news.
Yeah. We're gonna save that for when she come on the
Yeah,
show.
no
So
doubt.
thank you very much.
Thank
Stay
you, brother.
safe.
I
I'm definitely
appreciate
gonna
it.
call you.
Thank
And
you.
my man Mike Dean said your your you were very informative. Put it like that.
Thank you, Mike.
You said you're a
That's
very
okay.
informative guest.
Okay.
That's
Thank you,
one
Mike.
that's one of my longtime brothers there, Mike Dean. Salute, Mike. Love you, boy.
All right, Mike. We gotta definitely build. It sounds like you got a lot to talk about, and
Yeah, he does.
I'm
Believe me,
always
we might get
open.
it in.
You know, I appreciate that. I know that's what I
Yeah,
do. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
I have some ideas to help, but there are other people in this world that went through the same thing I did, and they have other ideas and they have other experiences. And I want to know, and I want to know what more can I do. Like I said, I've always worked in the field of social service, helping and giving